Boy, this is going to be an interesting episode of the Political Napalm here on YouTube. So, on Saturday, July 13th of 2024, it seems that somebody has attempted to shoot at former President Donald J. Trump. Donald Trump has survived the attack. There was damage done to his ear, as you can see in this photograph, with blood at the top of his ear that eventually ran down his face slightly, and also some blood smears coming forward towards his mouth. This was a scene towards the end of the Secret Service attending to him before he was rushed off stage. And this particular picture is already making the rounds as a sort of rallying cry moment after this rally ended with the shooting. Donald Trump Jr., of course, immediately started tweeting this out, saying, "Fight, fight, fight." And when you are the son of somebody who was shot and your first response is to not express happiness that your father is alive and has survived and was just simply grazed and things like that, when your first tweet out is this picture, it looks pretty suspicious in many ways. Before I continue with the rest of this video, I'm just going to get something out of the way now and preface the rest of the video with this and get the opinion out there ASAP in the video rather than drag it out. It would be very Blue Anon of me. It would be very conspiratorial of me. It would be very Alex Jones-ish, Sandy Hook, the Pelosi hammer attack. It would be extremely conspiratorial of me to say that in a lot of ways, this shooting looked staged, looked to be one of these Black Swan events that Michael Flynn was talking about. I'm going to present facts as much as I can. I'm going to ask questions when they need to be asked. This is very, very early in the process of talking about this story. We are not in full possession of the facts as of yet, although there are quite a few. And we've seen people trip and fall on this stuff before. So, for example, Alex Jones and Sandy Hook, everybody's a crisis actor. We see the right-wing press do this constantly when they published a video of the black guy that was choked out on the New York subway by the white guy who I believe was found guilty of it. I'm forgetting the names at this point in time. But there was a video making the rounds proving that the killer was a hero and restrained somebody who was violent and dangerous. And they were parading around a video of somebody who was not the person that was choked out on the subway. It was just simply another black guy that was acting aggressive on a subway platform. Now, that the person who was choked out did have a history of doing those things, but they used the wrong video. They used the wrong person in a video to say that it was him. On January 6th, they said, QAnon shaman, there is no way that he could be a Trumper because what Trumper dresses like that? He's clearly Antifa. Well, we see how that story worked out. One of the guys that was there with him in the infamous Big 3 or Big 4 picture, they said he's Antifa because look at his hand. He has a communist hammer and sickle, when it was simply the Arcane Studios logo for the game Dishonored 1 and Dishonored 2. Then there was another guy that was there that said he's pro-Antifa. Meanwhile, the Southern Poverty Law Center had a file on the guy, and the picture actually had a t-shirt that says Antifa sucks, but they edited the photo to simply say Antifa. So we've seen the dangers of fake news in the past, and we've seen the dangers of conspiracy theories. I am going to present a few things, and I'm going to point out the inconsistencies and the oddities, and they need to be looked at, and they need to be asked about. And I'm going to try very hard not to seem the equivalent of QAnon or the Joe Rogan, I'm just asking questions, horse paste. I'm going to try to avoid that, but it's going to inevitably happen in some of this. So, fair warning on that. So this picture, like I said, is immediately making the rounds. It seems, if you were to zoom out of it a little bit, it almost seems like a very Iwo Jima moment over here. I mean, the pack leaning, the flag coming up, the flag is in the background. Trump is positioned in a way that he's not actually obscuring it. It's very strange, very, very strange on that. Supposedly, the gunman who was shot and killed by the Secret Service after the shots were taken was one Thomas M. Crooks of 21 years old out of Bethel Park, Pennsylvania. Originally, they were trying to paint him as a Democrat. Supposedly, there was some information that he gave $15 to a progressive PAC, but that information has slowly died down, and this one is making the rounds a bit more, that he was a registered Republican, and he was wearing the t-shirt of a very right-wing ammo company that has an aggressively to a right-wing YouTube channel. I'm forgetting the name of it now. It's gray. There is an American flag shirt on one of the sleeves, and it's the name of it. The name of the company is actually on the shirt, and the picture of him lying on the roof where he was taking the shot from, you could clearly see that flag, and you can also see several letters of the company's logo on the front of his shirt. So again, this is strange information here. It is odd for him to be a registered Republican and have a very 2A oriented, Second Amendment oriented shirt and logos and brands and company, and then to do this, it is a bit odd. But at this point in time, it does not look like this is somebody who was a Biden voter or a Biden supporter. Now, granted, the last time this person voted was in 2022 and did not vote in 2020, as he registered after. So we don't know, did he vote for Biden? Did he vote for Trump? And honestly, political affiliation is to the side of this, but it is always something that gets brought up and talked about. So there's the information. A Thomas Crooks, a young man whose life is now over, out of Bethel Park, Allegheny County in Pennsylvania. I believe this rally took place outside of Pittsburgh, and the western side of Pennsylvania does tend to be old iron, old steel, Pittsburgh steel and everything like that. So it is a bit of a depressed area. If you've ever seen, I think the show was Friday Night Tykes. It was a show that was on Spike TV before it became Esquire, and then Esquire, got dumped. I used to watch it. It was like a youth football league, and one of the teams or one of the groups that they would follow would be kind of in this area of Pennsylvania, and it was West Virginia-esque. And if you catch my drift on that, it was a bit of a depressed area. So this is the actual video of the event as it was going down. So we'll go ahead and start it from the beginning. I'll turn the mic off. We'll turn on the video audio over here, and we'll see it as it actually goes down.
What happened?
This guy is a guy by the name of Violet Fuchsia. I think he's one of these people who thinks JFK or JFK Jr. is going to come back and run with Trump or something. And we're going to see this guy on the right over here in a little bit finer detail in a moment. But let's go ahead and get back to this. These people so close to Trump are eerily calm. They're concerned, but not. There's very little shock there. It seems concern, like somebody watching somebody take a bad hit in football, or take a bad fall in a sporting event and is down on the ground, potentially concussed or moving just a little bit. That's what this looks like to me. And you see accounts of people talking about shootings all the time, like the Las Vegas one. I happened to see an account of the Las Vegas one, and people are running everywhere. They're almost trampling each other to get out. When these things occur in malls, it's like a stampede. And everybody over here, I mean, there's a hug going on over here, a very supportive, emotional, like, I can't believe we just saw that hug. But this is, it's either completely desensitized, or I don't know what. I cannot fathom a guess as to how everybody is just sort of like, what's going on over there? Is like Trump okay? And you are starting to hear the Secret Service say, okay, get ready to move, okay. But then things are going to get a little weird. I think one of them just said shooters down. Okay, if you rewind that a little bit, if you didn't hear it, Trump is saying, let me get my shoes, let me get my shoes.
I got you, let me get my shoes, sir. Hold that in your head, it's bloody. So we gotta go move to the bus. Let me get my shoes. Okay, watch out. Wait.
And then the audio goes out. He goes, fight. This is not a Secret Service reaction. This is not the reaction of somebody who just got shot at, especially Trump. We've seen him catch a baseball like a hand grenade. We've seen him move so far out of frame when an eagle flapped his wings. And we're going to see some more videos in a moment of Trump's past actions when he thinks there's danger around. When they start to get him up, things just go off the rails of normalcy. Stop. Let me get my shoes. Secret Service have a protocol, and they execute it. They don't ask the intended victim or the target or the person they're protecting what the deal is. That they're not having a coffee with them. They're not asking him what time it is. I would imagine, of course, they're going to ask him, are you okay? Do you know where you've been shot? Can you move? Things like that. But to allow him to dictate their flow, to allow him to say, wait a minute, let me get my shoes, unless everybody in that bubble understood that the shooter was down and maybe the threat was neutralized, maybe, because they don't know if there's going to be more shots or multiple shooters or different angles or potentially a crush of people trying to get out of those stands. I mean, right now, from what we know, 2 people are critically injured. The shooter's been killed, and a fan or supporter in the stands has also been killed. So there have been 2 deaths, 2 critically injured, and Trump has been winged near the ear. Now, if this was in fact an AR-15, like some people have postulated, he would have no ear. He would probably not even have a good chunk of the side of that head. That is a NATO 5.56 round that an AR-15 fires. They are nearly 6-inch bullets. You will see in other videos that he is looking right in the direction of the shot. And that's full profile for the shooter, basically, or at least, 3/4 profile. The ear damage is very, very low for it to be a bullet. What is coming out now is that it was actually glass from one of the teleprompters. Some people said, well, the teleprompter was too far away. There is somebody that we're going to see in a moment that thought maybe the blood was from being dragged to the ground. But as you could see here, Trump goes down himself before the dog pile. So it's not like the Secret Service dogpiled him to push him down to keep him safe. He went down first, and then the Secret Service got on top of him. So the story that the Secret Service did the damage because they were pushing him down along the podium and onto the ground and everything, that doesn't exactly seem to fly. To me, what seems the most likely is a shard of glass from the teleprompter winging his ear. I mean, Evander Holyfield took more ear damage from Mike Tyson than this, and it was not a lot of blood, not a lot of flow to it when we've seen the videos and the pictures. So moving on, this is apparently a layout of the area. Donald Trump was here. The gunman, a lot of places have said 200 to 300 yards away. I've seen as high as 400 yards away, and that was the angle from the bottom right corner of the square over towards Donald Trump Square. This was the roof that the guy was on. So this is what the layout of it looks like. This picture over here is a reminder that political violence in any form, political violence in action or in threats or in words or in staging or in execution is not to be tolerated in this country, whether it be the Antifa and BLM protests, the J6 riots, and insurrection, to things like this of Biden being hogtied and pictured as being in the pickup bed of 2 different trucks on Long Island, New York. The fact that somebody sells a sticker like that, the fact that even somebody would sell a Trump sticker to this effect. I remember discussing this particular issue quite a bit several months ago, and people were like, well, there's Trump stickers too. And I'm like, that doesn't make it any better. It's still trash, whoever it is. A reminder that Donald Trump Jr. said that his Halloween costume after the Nancy Pelosi husband attack was going to be slightly soiled underwear and a hammer. So I'm largely seeing, at least among notable or named Democrat and liberals, that they are decrying the violence. They are denouncing it, They're saying it should not happen. They're saying they hope Trump is okay. Biden is saying he's praying that Trump is okay, and that he's tried to reach him and he knows he's with his doctors, and he will release a statement later when there's more information. Biden pulled his ads. Biden pulled his communications. Meanwhile, on the right, they have always made fun of this type of stuff, like Trump Jr. with the underwear and the hammer, the spin that Pelosi's husband was having a gay tryst and the guy was his gay lover. They spin it out of control all the time. And now here is something where the attack is on the right, and the Democrat response, again, at least public-facing figures, has been exactly what you would expect. That's not to say that there aren't people on social media who are liberal or Democrat who have said things like, damn, somebody missed, or, you know, the shot was a little off and things like that. That is absolutely true. For the social media denizens, this happens on both sides, but it is the difference in the public-facing individuals where the difference is quite stark in how both sides handle things like this. So Scott McFarlane, who was at the event, interviewed this particular lady, and she said she was right in front of Trump when this all went down. So this will be her eyewitness account.
First, I was right in front of President Trump. I heard first, boom, boom. I heard 4 boom, boom, booms. Immediately thought, fireworks. Somebody's still putting off fireworks. Yeah. Then the Secret Service jumped onto him, pushed him to the ground.
What did he look like when you saw him, when he got up?
So I'm just telling you now, I pushed him to the ground. That's what we saw. And not one of us.
So that's actually wrong. He went down first, and then the Secret Service came and dogpiled on him. So no, he was not pushed to the ground by the Secret Service.
In the front row, either hid down or anything. We all stood up strong to make sure. We wanted to protect him too. We wouldn't move.
That's a cult.
What did you see from him?
So then the guys with the guns came. They clear right, clear left. Or they said lift him. So they lifted him straight up. And Trump said, "I got to get my shoes on." But he looked okay to me. But
that checks out.
On the side of his face?
The right cheek. It was like a teardrop almost. But then when he turned to the right, I could see the blood from the top of the ear to the bottom. Was not gushing.
Just a
but
bit.
it was
that checks out too.
You're doing okay?
Yeah, I'm fine.
You weren't hurt?
No, I thought something happened. But in my mind, I thought when they pushed him, he hit himself on something. Yeah. You know, almost like a burn, like brush burn or whatever, you know, something. And then he put his hand up real big, like strong, and they walked him down.
So it goes to show you that this almost cultish desire to protect him from damage outweighed their sense of protecting themselves. You know, their own mortality in this was not even an option. It was stand up and maybe take a bullet for the former president. So there's that. And you could see how most of her accounting lines up with what we've seen and what we've heard, except for a slight misplacement there where she was saying that the Secret Service pushed him to the ground when actually Trump had gone down by himself here, because he touches the ear once, he touches the ear again, and then dives down. So again, just see. Now you could say that he was halfway down and pushed down the rest of the way by the Secret Service, and I think that would be valid. We cannot see just how far down he gets to the ground there, but it does seem like he at least gets to a squatting position by himself. Now, this guy is kind of a key witness. This is the guy who's been saying that they kept trying to alert the police that somebody was crawling on a roof in what seemed to be, they seem to be doing sniper positioning. And this is a guy getting interviewed by the BBC. And you're going to hear and see a lot of this particular count over the next few days.
And watch and listen to the rally, right? We couldn't see him, but we could hear him. So we walked up, and probably 5 to 7 minutes of Trump speaking. I'm estimating here. I have no idea, but we noticed the guy crawling, bear crawling up the roof of the building beside us, 50 feet away from us. So we're standing there, we're pointing at the guy crawling up the roof.
And he had a gun, right?
He had a rifle.
A rifle.
We could clearly see him with a rifle. Absolutely. We're pointing at him. The police are down there running around on the ground. We're like, hey, man, there's a guy on the roof with a rifle. And the police were like, huh, what? Like they didn't know what was going on. We're like, hey, right here on the roof. We can see him from right here. We see him. He's crawling. And next thing you know, I'm thinking to myself, why is Trump still speaking? Why have they not pulled him off the stage? I'm standing there pointing at him for, 2-3 minutes. Secret Service is looking at us from the top of the barn. I'm pointing at that roof, just standing there like this. And next thing you know, 5 shots ring out.
So you're certain that the shots came from that guy on the roof?
100%. 100%.
And he was up there for a couple of minutes.
He was up there.
You saw him up there for a couple of minutes.
Absolutely. At least 3 to 4 minutes.
And you were telling the police and the Secret Service.
We were telling the police. We were pointing at him for the Secret Service, who were looking at us from the top of the barn. They were looking at us the whole time when we were standing by that tree.
Could they see
binoculars?
Could they see him?
Probably not, because the roof, the way the slope went, he was behind where they could see. But why is there not Secret Service on all of these roofs here? This is not a big place.
Did you see, obviously everyone, when the shooting started, everyone was very panicked. Did you see what happened to him at all?
Oh, yeah, they blew his head off.
Okay, sorry.
Secret Service blew his head off.
Okay, just be careful, because we don't quite know who's watching, but you're pretty sure they shot the guy?
Absolutely, 100%.
Okay.
Yep.
You saw that happen?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
And did you see them go up to him afterwards, or?
They crawled up on the roof. They had their guns pointed at him, make sure he was dead. He was dead, and that was it. It was over.
That is a massive account of what was happening, and goes to show you either the complete ineptitude or the wild craziness about this particular shooting. If the Secret Service were trained on him with their binoculars, as he said, they may have been concerned that he was creating a ruckus. So one of two things should have happened if Secret Service were looking at this guy and he was gesturing and they were way far away and they couldn't hear what he was saying, but he's making hand motions, he's trying to point. They should either look in the direction that he's trying to point and then see the sniper on the roof and do something, or they should be sending somebody out to this guy for fear that he is crazy and doing something, and none of that happened. It's like they looked at him and he's essentially flagging somebody down on the side of the road, like, help, there's this accident, somebody stop and help. And they didn't do anything. They just literally did nothing, and that seems extremely suspicious. And this guy seems to be trumped out. The beer can he was holding, I think, had Trump's picture on it. He's got a red Trump hat up here. This does not seem to be a plant or somebody who is not giving a truthful accounting of this. This seems to be incredible news. That where is the Secret Service responding to any of this? And we can see in the video of him, it takes a while for them to get to him, a few extra seconds. They allow him to dictate the flow, getting away. They allow him to get his head up above the bubble a couple times there when he's doing the fisting and everything. They sort of allow him to pause. It is almost like a Infinity War moment where important people were allowed to say and do a few things before getting snapped away and getting turned into dust. It's highly, highly suspect the way this portion happened, especially when you hear this account of it prior to it all going down. Here in this particular video, it is pointed out that he's looking up. He just, it's either a crazy coincidence or he's looking right at everything as it is about to happen, and that is something that is very strange. It's unbelievable that.
And you know, that's a little bit old, that chart's a couple of months old, and if you want to really see something that's said, take a look at what happened. And you know, that's a little bit old, that chart's a couple of months old, and if you want to really see something that's said, take a look at what happened.
Yeah, it's you know, originally early on when some people heard those sounds, they were saying, oh, it's, you know, like, it sounds like a BB gun, very muffled. It does not sound like a high caliber whatsoever. I mean, we could throw the BB gun out after somebody else has been killed and 2 other people are in critical condition and everything. But I mean, he's like looking he's looking towards where the shot was coming from, or he's looking at this sniper. It's very, very odd. Now, this was Trump 8 years ago when a protester rushed the stage in Ohio, and I want you to see the difference in how he handles things here.
Here's what happens. I will call up Carrier, the president, because I have to do it myself. I know it's not. Thank you for the warning. I was ready for him, but...
Okay, now granted, he stayed in it, just like this, to you know, there is a more cowardice on display here during the event, but he stays in it. But just watch the reaction here slow down to how everything goes and how he is totally ducking and covering. First, I think that was a slow glance at maybe a teleprompter there, but yeah, he right there. I mean, watch his face when he knows something is happening behind him. His eyes get wide. He's sort of ready to duck onto the podium for a split second. He seems more fearful of being out of control of the situation. It seems like in this case, and granted he was, you know, 8 years younger at this point, but the Secret Service does a better job here. And yes, he's the president here, whereas he's a former president now. But this just seems to overall be a much, much better response. And compare and contrast all of that to when Reagan was shot.
Ronald Reagan was 2 months into his presidency when John Hinckley Jr. drew a $29 handgun outside the Washington Hilton Hotel.
What you don't see and is off screen here is that they immediately are on Reagan and they shove him into a car and he drives away. They're forceful with him. They don't let him dictate the flow. I mean, he barely has any time to respond, but they were doing their job and they were controlling the situation. In this, it just all seems very lackadaisical, not as concerned for his health as I would imagine they would be. This guy over here, I thought I happened to have a video of him. Somebody's like, oh, we got to talk to this guy. We got to talk to this guy, because the entire time that this is all going down, he is laser focused in on Trump down here. His eyesight is, he gets some height, and he looks straight down at what we can't see that's going on behind the podium over here. I totally agree. I think this is a guy that needs to be talked to. And supposedly this Violet guy made several signals right before everything went down. I don't know if we could see it in this video. No, it's actually a little too late, and he's cut off. Other people have said that he's kind of made some gestures and motions, and it's really surprising how he just looks like he's at a rock concert and was wondering where one of his kids has wandered off to. It's just such a mild reaction over here, and yeah, he's wiping his brow and everything, but this does not seem like the, oh my god, they just tried to kill the person that I want to vote for and the person that I'm in the cult of and everything. We need to get considerably more information on this, more information on this Thomas Crooks guy. Was the donation to the PAC thing true, or is this actually true? We need an official medical diagnosis of, was he shot? Was it a shard from the, a teleprompter? Was it in fact an AR-15 with a chambered 5.56 round, which again is a nearly 6-inch bullet? And to the person who's passed away, I'm sure that in that autopsy, they will get some forensic evidence there, especially if there are other people who've been critically injured by that sniper fire. But this is a very, very odd situation, top to bottom. Why is a Republican going after Trump? And that's not to say that there aren't Republicans out there who despise Trump and want nothing to do with him and don't want him to be the candidate. Trump will call them rhinos. I think they're actually the real Republicans, not these Trump cultists. But this is a terrible situation for the United States to be going through. I first found out about this event when my significant other told me about it, and she said, I think Trump has been shot at his rally today. And the first sentence out of my mouth was, God, I hope not, because then they will just use this to make the narratives true that the left will do anything possible for him not to be the candidate. And I did not want them to have this narrative. I don't want the violence, but I also don't want the martyrdom of a situation like this. And it's probably going to go that way. Donald Trump Jr. has already started posting those pictures. There's going to be merch on it. Another oddity is an hour before he went and held the rally, he sent out an email that said it's going to be crazy at this event and you're going to want to be there, and it's I'm going to reveal something that will frighten the deep state. And he like, similar to J6, he did a kind of be there, it'll be wild thing, as if he knew, as if he wanted all eyes on me at this event. So top to bottom, it seems odd. I don't want to be too conspiratorial about it, but there are definitely major questions on this, and we're going to need time for this to develop over probably about a week or so before we find out all the correct information. Thank you for watching the video here. I appreciate it, and we'll see if we could do any follow-ups as we get more information. Have a good day.